You know, if you've got to reach office by 10 a.m., you got to get up at 7, leave by 8 in a hurry, only to arrive late. Because this guy actually solved it way back in the 1950s and its effects are still felt today. But before I tell you about that city, we first got to understand why the hell are all Indian cities so badly planned. So let's start with Gurgaon, the Millennium City. I have a map over here. In the 1980s, imagine all of this wasn't there. It was purely just agricultural land. And the Haryana government basically had a liberal land acquisition policy allowing developers to just buy land from farmers. And the developers said, we are going to build a world-class city, as you can see, right here. Sorry, wrong map. World-class city, ye nahi, ye. Gurgaon. And if you look closely, it doesn't look so world-class. So I'll tell you why. I can see problems here, congestion here, and I'm sure there are a lot of potholes we can't see on the map. Point is, cities are like companies, which means they need to have everything to make things work. The sewage system, the way the population is distributed, residential areas, SEZ zones, you have to have forest cover, etc., etc. It's not something maybe developers can do because their incentive is to make a profit. So they won't think of all the infrastructure. They will just build in clumps wherever they think the land acquisition worked. The municipal corporation didn't exist until 2008, meaning the city was actually built by developers, which means Gurgaon was a develop first, plan later model. If you look in the case of, say, Gurgaon, and businesses are given a little more tabajju than anyone else, they will care more about the profit, less about the citizen, less about the government, less about the sewage system. And a great example is this picture.
भाई मेरी गाड़ी डूब गई है, मेरे घर में पानी आ गया है और मेरे पास लिटरली कुछ भी नहीं है अभी करने को.
So what's the solution to all of this? This guy actually had the solution. But before I tell you, I've got to show you something really interesting. So imagine this. We have a new problem here. Here's how building a road generally works. We have a road that has to be built. There is a government tender, which goes to subcontractors. Subcontractors above them have a main contractor. The main contractor, to get this road, actually has to submit bids. These bids, I'm going to put dollar and rupee signs. The lowest bid actually wins. Now, this is slightly more complex than I'm showing over here, but it's optimized to save taxpayer money, which means lower the bid, the likeliness of them winning is higher, which means the weightage of quality is actually less than you expect. And that's why you get, where is it? This. You see, as soon as a contractor wins a tender like this, and because the margin is so small now, because it's a small bid, and once he's built the road, one monsoon is all it takes, 2 overloaded trucks, and one guy speeding, and you get the potholes. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that all we need to do is focus on quality, but it's not that simple. We're doing 34 kilometers of highways daily, and if you include normal roads, etc., it's 100 kilometers every single day. How the hell will you monitor quality for so much of road across such a large nation where billions of people stay? In fact, I have a report right here. The auditors unearthed suspected fraudulent practices worth 400 crores in the procurement of bitumen, including duplicate fake refinery invoices. So, it basically means the greedier the contractor, the worse the roads, which obviously leads to traffic jams. Let's do a quick calculation of how much money you actually lose. Imagine 1 crore people get stuck in traffic for 1 hour every working day. Let's also assume you lose 200 rupees of productivity in that 1 hour. Simply multiply these two numbers, you get 200 crore rupees loss every day in the country multiplied by all the working days, tens of thousands of crores of rupees lost. So if we are losing so much money every year, why is nobody solving this problem? I mean, just fill the damn potholes. Potholes don't get filled up very quickly because of the British.
Sir, but I don't agree with you.
Why?
मैं तो फुटपाथ यूज करके आता हूँ, आप सड़क बोल रहे हो बनी, फुटपाथ भी नहीं बना है यहाँ पे.
No, I don't agree with that. I mean, footpaths bane hain. We have footpaths, but the problem is that you can't use them because of encroachment. People are actually walking on the road because there is no place for them to walk here. So isn't that interesting? We are part of the problem, guys. And because of this encroachment, no matter how much infrastructure we build, your 4-lane in India will always be a 1-lane. In fact, in Delhi alone, the government has identified 1,700 colonies where people are living illegally, estimated home of 40 lakh to 50 lakh people. This is because people are using public land for their private benefit. And speaking of encroachment, let's talk about the biggest land encroachment of all, done by the Britishers. In 1896, while the British were in India, there was the bubonic plague. But everyone in Bombay was sick and the disease was spreading. So to fix the problem, the Britishers created this new authority called the Bombay Improvement Trust. Now, the Bombay Improvement Trust was run by bureaucrats, white people who are not from real India. They don't stay there, they don't live there. But even though they never understood India, they were still appointed to run this trust because Britishers believed Indians were not smart enough to solve their own problems. India inherited the Bombay Improvement Trust model. All we did was we replaced the word and called it Development Authority. All development authorities in India are run by bureaucrats. I mean IS officers, etc. And these people are good at planning, they are super smart, but they are not specialists in city planning and design. Now let's look at the contrast. The contrast is your local municipal body. The local municipal body is elected into power, which means their incentive is aligned to you, to the people living there. Because of their vote, they are in power. So if the improvement doesn't happen, there is misalignment. So good. So why hasn't the power gone from development authorities to local bodies? Well, it has. Let me read this. In 1992, the government implemented the 74th Constitutional Amendment Act, which gave protection and status to urban local governments for urban planning. So now, urban local governments had power and responsibility for urban planning. But wait, didn't I just say that development authorities are doing all the planning? Here is the problem and the grey area. So the state didn't actually transfer the power from the development authorities to the local municipal bodies. So you know who's in charge now? Both of them. In other words, nobody. When you have two people in charge of something, no one's in charge. In fact, I was going through this one story which says, the Ghaziabad Development Authority and the Ghaziabad Nagar Nigam clearly get into very frequent issues where the government says, please complete the handover of 7 Ghaziabad colonies in 2 months. But these things don't happen because each party is fighting for control and credit. And because of this confusion, like I said, no one's really in charge. So how do we solve all of this? And like I said, that guy solved this many, many years ago. But if you can guess what city I'm talking about and put it in the comments before I reveal the city, then I'll give you one like. Look at this city. You have main streets, you have crosses, you have places to walk, you have green areas, you have residential, markets in each area. It's very simple to drive through. You have gol chakkars everywhere. When I lived here for a very long time, I realized how easy it was to find every sector and how confusing it was because every sector looked exactly the same. And it's not just cities like Chandigarh, it's also Bhubaneswar, Indore, Surat, and a bunch of other planned cities. And it's almost as if you plan a city, the citizens respond with love and kindness. None of these 3 players are the main culprit. All 3 actually have to care about each other and make sure it works for a city to actually be less congested and a little more livable.